So let's talk essay one. The goal of this assignment is for you to choose works by at least two poets and to have a combined analysis of them. So what does that really mean? You're going to find a theme, an idea, a concept, a social issue, something related to, social expectations or assumptions that both of these authors work on. They might be talking about gender roles. They might be talking about gender and sexuality. They might be talking about race. They might be talking about social class or status. There's a lot of different things that are available to you. Expectations placed upon men in society, expectations placed upon women in society, judgments placed against people of color or people who are, not cisgender, and as non-binary, they don't sort of meet what is considered traditional or quote unquote sort of judgmentally standard. Okay. So in that process, you are opening yourself up to the possibility of having a complementary or a contrasting discussion. So these two poets might be working with the same idea and saying roughly the same thing. They might be looking at the same idea, but looking at it from two very different angles. And so there are two different perspectives actually allow us to understand that thing a little bit better. Lots of different ways to do it. The analogy I always use is a car accident. In a car accident, let's say there's a car accident at a major intersection. There are at least three people that I want to talk to, okay, if I'm investigating, trying to understand what happened. Both drivers and at least one witness, because neither driver is fully trustworthy by themselves. I certainly don't want to speak to only one driver and say, what happened? And they'll just say, it was his fault. So I need multiple perspectives on this event, this thing, in order to understand it better. So this thing that you're looking at now, social expectations or assumptions, as it relates to, again, gender, age, class, race, sexuality, you're looking at what multiple different authors have to say about it. Okay, again, they might be complementary, kind of saying roughly the same thing, or they might be contradictory. It's entirely up to you which ones you choose. The poems that I've put in the packet are by default, because of my selection, all going to work with this assignment, right? I've chosen them specifically so that they will work. So don't worry that you're going to choose a poem that doesn't talk about social expectations or assumptions. They all do, at least in some way. You could almost randomly pick any two poems and pair them together in some way, okay? So that's the first thing. At least two poets, therefore at least two poems, no more than four. Next, you want to be thinking about how you are going to make this comparison. The goal for the essay is to not have like half the essay talks about one poem, half the essay talks about the other, and then you print, right? Or submit. That's not what we're going for here. What we want to do is focus on the theme or idea. So maybe we're making some kind of claim like gender roles punish both men and women in society. Okay, not just women, but men and women. The stress and the expectations placed upon men to work, provide, that kind of thing can be a burden. I'm not saying it's hard being a white dude in America. I'm just saying that there are some expectations that are challenging, okay? So if we want to try to, blow up gender roles and try to get rid of them a little bit, one way to do that is to say, hey, they hurt everybody, right? And so maybe that's what these poets are trying to bring forth, right, in their works. So you find a couple different poems that work with that idea, and then you tell me what they have to say about it. The trick then is, and you'll see this in the PowerPoints in more detail, your paragraphs then cover different ways of talking about that idea of gender roles are harmful. What started the gender roles? How do they harm men? How do they harm women? What can we do about it? There's 4 body paragraphs right there, and these poems might help me express that. Notice that the paragraphs, though, are organized around my ideas about my theme, not about the poems themselves. It's not, I'm going to have a paragraph on this poem, a paragraph on this poem, a paragraph on this one, and a paragraph on this one. I don't want that. That is a mistake. What you want is the paragraphs to be organized around subtopics of your overall theme that you're focused on, okay? As you work through the packet, you're going to be pulled towards some poems and turned off by others. There are a few by Dunbar that I know some of you are going to be like, I don't even know how to read that. Too many apostrophes because it's written in African American vernacular, sort of a dialect that he was surrounded by as a kid growing up in the late 1800s, of freed slaves, among others, in the North. So what did he do? He tried his best to express that dialect in poetry. Not all of his poems work like that, but some do. Others are a little bit confusing, where it's Sonia Sanchez and Cummings they like to split words up and split lines up and get rid of letters and put punctuation in the middle of words, and they kind of have some fun with it. It's beautiful and it's fun and it's really different. But for some of you, you're going to be like, I don't know what to do with that. So don't worry about it. Look at Denise Smith and Anna Castillo and Charlotte Perkins Gilman and some other poems by Dunbar, Ferlinghetti, that kind of thing, and have some fun. Okay, so that's the essence of essay one. Find some poems that you think work with a similar overlapping theme. Tell me what those poems are trying to say. Give me subparagraph or subtopics in your body paragraphs about that larger theme, so that overall, at the end of your essay, I have a clear sense of what your poems are trying to do, right? What are they trying to say about this? What can I learn from them about this theme or this idea of gender roles or racial judgments or gender and sexuality norms, stereotypes, whatever it might be. Okay, so have some fun with it. That's the essence of the poem's essay, and then we will move forward from there. We move quickly, so make sure that you're not wasting too much time trying to pick out your poems. Dig in, figure out which ones you need, and start going. All right, take care. I hope this was helpful. If not, email me, as always, tucker.amanon@rcc.edu.